Hello everyone and welcome back. My name is Send and this is going to be a guide on the Temporal Sanctum dungeon in Last Epoch. So let's get right into it. First and foremost, you must get to the dungeon. The dungeon itself is situated in the Divine Era or Ruined Era, at the bottom of the map just below Majelka. If you haven't unlocked the teleport point to get there, you will first need to go to the Shining Cove in the Imperial Era and follow the route on screen right now. Keep in mind that there is a side quest that requires you to pick up an item in here, in the Ruined Cove specifically, so you might already have done this pathing, so double check if you have unlocked the waypoint or not. After that, you need to get yourself a key. Each key unlocks a single run of the dungeon. These keys can drop from any enemies while leveling or while doing the endgame echoes. As far as I know, the enemies needed for this dungeon specifically require to be in an area of level 55 or above, so you won't see these very early in the campaign, but you might find some for the other dungeons as they have a lower entry level requirement. Also, if you find the video helpful so far, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel to support me in the making of content like this for all of you. For the dungeon itself, like all other dungeons, it has its own gimmick. This one gives you an ability called Temporal Shift. It allows you to swap between Divine and Ruined Era, and in doing so, all the enemies in the area will change, as well as opening and closing different blockades and passageways that may be closed in one era and open in another. Once you start using it, it becomes very straightforward how it works. Keep in mind that the enemies in different eras are separated entities, and if you are looking to maximize your loot drops and your XP, you will want to clear both zones thoroughly. A single dungeon run is composed by 2 rooms where you go through and kill enemies on the way to find one of 2 doors at the end. These doors give you either a drop increase for the regular enemies in a dungeon, think of things like drop additional exalted items, or they drop additional glyphs, things like that. There are other possibilities, but these are just examples. And there's a second option that usually is similar, but for the final boss of the dungeon. Speaking of the final boss of the dungeon, in the Temporal Sanctum, it is Chronomancer Julra. This fight requires you to make use of your Temporal Shift ability to be able to dodge some of her most dangerous abilities. It is a very mechanical intensive fight and can be quite challenging in the higher difficulties of the dungeon. Nevertheless, if you are successful, you'll be able to access the final rewards of the dungeon. After defeating Chronomancer Julra, you can enter a room in the back of her boss arena. There you will find a crafting station that will allow you to place a legendary item and an exalted item to be merged. The way this works is the unique item needs to have a thing called legendary potential. This will determine the number of modifiers from the exalted item that can be randomly selected to be added to the unique. The stats that get transferred are randomly selected from the ones present on the exalted item that you are sacrificing, so make sure to put an item that has mods that you'd like on the unique in question. Also, be sure to not sacrifice an item that you might want, as the results of this are not always the most optimal and you might lose an item that was actually very important to you. Through this method, you are able to craft some incredibly powerful items that may serve you very well in your adventures throughout the world of Last Epoch. And that is it. All you need to know about the Temporal Sanctum dungeon in Last Epoch. Hope the video was useful, and if it was, consider dropping a like and subscribing to the channel. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you all later. Bye bye.